as a platinum hitter, you recognize the environment that you're in. And if you're not in a platinum environment, make it a platinum environment because of your presence. You will stand out. Welcome to Platinum Conversations in the Platinum Cafe. Today, we wish to engage you on a journey of enlightenment and hopefully growth that will propel you into higher levels of attainment in the thing that's meaningful to you in your life. Let's go. It's almost like when you buy a new car. When you buy the car, you think you're the only one that has it, but all of a sudden, as soon as you drive off the lot, you see 12 of them the same color as the one you got.
Same one.
The same car. I'm saying, man, I never saw that before, what have you. And so, but it's the thing is, we've always seen it, we've just never paid attention to it. It was never on our radar, so to speak. And so that speaks to what you were saying earlier. But I believe that as we have these different encounters in our lives, it gives us it taps different things in our inner being. And so when you become aware of something, it's like the old adage, once you know something, you don't unknow it, so to speak, or what have you. So, or once the mind has been stretched to a new dimension, it can never go back to what it was. Right. And so knowledge informs, knowledge elevates, knowledge expands. And so when we begin to get this new knowledge, we begin to have a different vision of what that is, and we can see it more clearly.
Yeah, and we want to build that up in others.
Exactly, and that's the whole preface. This is really about building in others, because we're all construction workers, all of us. And you gave that analogy earlier about working on the house or what have you, but each of us are construction workers. We're all under construction. And so the question becomes, am I a general contractor or am I a specialist? Do I specialize in X, Y, and Z? Or am I a general and I know a little bit about everything and I can navigate? And so the general contractor is that individual who can basically understand the overall picture of what needs to be constructed, and he's bringing the pieces together with the people with the skill sets to do this body of work. And so as platinum hitters, that's we are. We're under construction and we're building successful lives. And so what we're doing is bringing in the resources. As a platinum hitter, I'm a mentor. And so mentors bring in opportunities, expose people to resources that they wouldn't normally have, so that they are built up into being the person or persons that they're desiring to be.
That's like building up the platinum family.
Yes.
Yeah. It's
exactly.
The platinum family, the platinum framework for, the structure of building each other up, but it also at the same time it builds you up. But I had a question. How do you know if you're a general contractor or if you are a specialist? Because every specialist kind of is a general contractor in a sense. So if I'm a floor specialist, I can tell you the whole system of the flooring, how it works, how the joints work, how these pieces interlock, what's the difference between hardwood, difference between laminate, linoleum, tile. If I'm a flooring specialist, I'm kind of like a flooring generalist.
Sure.
So how do you know what's the difference?
At different points, you're going to be different things. I'll give you an example. If you're going to be a subcontractor on a project, a general contractor may call you up and say, hey, I need you to do X, Y, and Z work. They'll scope the work out for you, and you do that. But another primary client may call you and say, hey, I need you to be the general contractor on this work. So depending on the circumstances, you can be a general in this area, but a sub in the other area, or a specialist in the other area. And so regardless of which role you play, it does not compromise your intellect nor your input into the building of that particular, doing that level of work. And so you're going to be both and. And so it's recognizing what you are in that space. Because today, while you're with me, I'm a mentee. But when you're working with someone else, you're a mentor. And so you're going to be both at different stages and in different environments. The thing is, as a platinum hitter, you recognize the environment that you're in. And if you're not in a platinum environment, make it a platinum environment because of your presence. Because you will stand out. People will know who you are because of how you present yourself, how you articulate a position, or how you build up those around you, and that will set you apart.
Is that how you make it platinum? Is you first become platinum?
Yes.
You first set it in your mind that this is what I'm going to do. This is the standard I'm going to set. And that in turn affects those around you, and then they become part of your platinum environment.
Exactly. And it's almost like, being platinum is contagious. Once you catch it, it's got you. And being platinum will not let you go. Once it gets a hold of you, it will not let you go. And it will refuse to let anything other than the best be part of your world. And so that whole mindset is really about, how do I shift my thinking to think platinum and not just be platinum? Not just be platinum, but think platinum. And when I think platinum, I do platinum things, and I create platinum opportunities, and I give platinum advice. And so all of those things are interchangeable, and they lead to the platinum way.
So talk a little bit about that, the whole concept of the platinum way in relation to building and constructing like your platinum relationships, your platinum family, because I'm understanding, to continue with the metaphor, you're building a building, but you're also, it's like this, the poet, I'll call him a poet, King Los, he's a rapper, but he said, I'm building a building that's built with a billion buildings, and it's like, yeah, we're building a building here, but the building is made up of other little buildings, So as I'm even building myself up, I'm building other people up. And the other people being built by me are building themselves up. And they're building others up at the same time. Right. So if you're looking at it like, man, I forgot my question. You're a general contractor, and you're building an environment, but that environment basically starts in your mind. Basically starts with you. Yeah. Well, I have forgot my question now.
Well, the building up of the platinum mindset starts with you, and it leads into other areas of your life becoming platinum because of your thinking and because of your engagement within that environment. And so we talk about the platinum way in terms of it permeating every aspect of your life, where we say everything platinum requires that I now have platinum families, platinum relationship. But to have platinum families and platinum relationship, I must first have platinum integrity. And I must have platinum honesty in terms of how I dealing, and my word is platinum. And so if I speak it and say it or commit myself to it, I do it. Even if I come out on the losing end, I honor my word. And so that platinum integrity leads people to really trust what you say and what you do. And so when you have that tandem together, what I say and what I do are in alignment. Being platinum is about alignment, aligning yourself with your integrity, your actions with your integrity, and your mindset with your actions, and your actions with all of those things that you speak. And so the whole idea of the platinum way pours into. And so if someone around you is coming with negativity, then you have a platinum vocabulary that you can offset that negativity that they're bringing to you and change their mindset, because by virtue of what you say, you can shift atmospheres and you can cause a person to have a different attitude and a different outlook by virtue of how you interact with them. So platinum interactions matter.
And on the same token too, it works in the reverse. If you're walking around with a negative mindset, or with the losing attitude, or an attitude that's not platinum, that can in turn affect the people around you. And it's like, man, when you have a team environment, like a human resources team, or you're trying to develop a sales team or anything like that, and somebody comes in and they have a negative attitude, they just have like a lackluster spirit that's going on, and they're like, oh, we're never going to meet the sales goal, we're never going to be able to work together. That's what you're talking about. Those are those words that you're speaking to yourself. And that is corroding the foundation of what you are trying to build up on. Like, you can't build up on negativity.
Sure.
In that sense, it's corrosive. And I was thinking, as you were talking about a building, just to continue with the metaphor once again, when you see like a building burn to the ground or something like that, or some kind of a disaster will hit it, a lot of times it's just these steel beams that are sticking up out of the ground. And that, to me, is like, that's the integrity right there. Those are the platinum, like the words, the foundations of the things that we're building on. Right. Like, if everything else around me burns down, this is what it is. This is what I got. This is my mindset, is to be tall, is to stand up straight, is to be strong, and to build upon different floors that I have, you know? And man, it just made me gave me that visual of a building with the beams just sticking up out of the ground.
Yes. Yeah. Yes, no doubt. Yeah. And so you mentioned the corrosive aspect or nature of certain things, but corrosion is something that starts small, and when it goes unnoticed or it goes unaddressed, it becomes worse and worse as time goes on. But in your mind as a platinum hitter, what can neutralize corrosion?
Man, I think of corrosion as like, you have to address it. You have to address it pretty much head on. Right. Yeah. And to neutralize it, you have to rebuild. Right. Once metal is corroded, you have to replace that area that was corroded. I mean, essentially, you have to cut out the corrosion and put in a newly formed piece of metal, because you can't necessarily reverse what's already been done, but you can replace what was corroded. Right. Gotcha. So when we talk in terms of platinum replacement, that is to go inside and surgically reinsert something that is stronger over something that has been compromised. Reframing. Yes, definitely. And so when we talk about relationships, because sometimes we have corrosive relationships. So how do you neutralize a corrosive relationship in a platinum manner? How do we neutralize corrosive relationships or toxic relationships in the workplace? Through platinum relationships. And so everything has to be replaced by something platinum in terms of how we perceive it, how we receive it, and then what are we going to do with what we received. And so it becomes, again, a process that becomes the platinum way. And mind you, so many of these things become known as we're in the process of doing them. And so don't think that there is just one formula for what represents the platinum way. As you become a platinum hitter, your success in that particular area will become your platinum way. We can provide a foundational support for that, but how you scaffold it and build it up to support your individual situation will be your platinum way. Yeah. And that's like, it starts with the mind. In your mind, it's like, I'm going to reframe this. I'm not going to let this stay the way that it is. I can see that this is corrosive, and it starts in the mind. It starts with the train of thought. It starts with the thoughts that I'm telling myself about this relationship. If I keep telling myself, oh, this person is no good, this person is not good for me, this person doesn't help me out, this person doesn't do their fair share, they're not reciprocating, then it's like, those thoughts are corrosive to my own platinum integrity. I can't build on those thoughts. I can't build on that negativity. I have to replace those thoughts. I have to reframe the situation. Right. And even if this person continues to behave in the same way, it's just like the building burnt down. Even if there's nothing else around me, it's still my platinum thoughts and my platinum integrity. Right. I still think highly of you. I still have to hold you to a higher standard. I still believe that you can be built upon. I'm not going to tear you down. I'm not going to think negatively about you or talk negatively about you. I'm going to hold everybody to this platinum standard, because that's you being the best version of yourself is the only way that I can build upon having you in my life and being constructive and platinum at the same time. Hey.
I understand that. I've been tasked to work on this project, and it is about being platinum, but being platinum from the standpoint of building up men to be their best. And how do we offset the trauma of lived experiences of men of color? And how do they again begin to move beyond the whole idea of struggle? And so when I look at the work that's going to be required for that, there's a certain level of excellence that's required on their part. But as far as I see it, I have to go above and beyond what their expectations are to make it the platinum way. And so my thing is excellence. Platinum excellence looks different from everybody else's excellence. And so when I take on the project, and as I've taken this project on, I'm looking at how it's going to stretch me to think beyond what their expectations are, to give them something that's going to not only benefit the lives that will be served, but how can it be a lasting concern in terms of being ongoing, so anybody can pick up this curriculum and now teach it to other men, because it will speak to their lived experiences, to their traumas, to their hurts, and help them heal through that process. And so I'm looking forward to that and what that will look like.
Yeah. So let's talk about that struggle. What are some of the struggles and things that you've kind of identified that people of color, or specifically men of color, might face? Are we talking in higher education? Are we talking in the workforce?
When we talk about education, it's in an educational setting, but it's also for it's because the things that people bring with them to school impact how they interact within that environment. And so all of those components can either help or hinder the educational process. And our goal in this program is, or what have you, is to develop that leadership curriculum that will help them identify what their struggles are, because sometimes we struggle and don't know we're struggling because that's all we're accustomed to. We're traumatized but don't know we're traumatized because trauma is all we've known. And so to get them, and now we're lashing out and hurting, like the old saying, hurt people. And so we find that if we are learning to heal people, heal people. And so how can we give our young men the capacity to heal beyond their struggle, their pain, their hurt, to be able to heal and help others through their pain and their hurt?
If I'm used to struggling, and if I'm accustomed to that, and that's where I'm, normalized into being in the struggle, how do I gain the perspective of there is existence outside of this struggle?
Right.
How do I go about changing my mind to understand that? Because I'm sure there's somebody listening who's like, maybe I am in a struggle, but I don't know. I don't know if I'm in a struggle, or if I'm just like not performing my best, or if I'm just like not interested in this, or I'm just not engaged. I'm not struggling. I just don't want it.
Right.
How do we go about identifying the differences between, or like just coming up with the frame of mind to say, this is a struggle from external circumstances versus this is a struggle because I pretty much choose to be here?
Struggle is struggle, regardless, because whether it's internalized oppression or whether it is an external thing that's kind of putting pressure on us, one of the key factors, I believe, is an awareness that I am struggling, and awareness that, this is just not the way I want to live. I see other people living differently, and I want to live differently. And so mentoring is a big component of that, and tapping into other people who have the capacity to pour into us. Because if we're going to combat the wrongs that have been done, that cannot be done by somebody that's hurt. Because again, if I'm an instructor and I'm working in my instructional capacity from my hurt, then all I'm pouring into you is hurt. I'm giving you my pain. And so we have to learn to tap into other people that are not broken in the same ways that we are. Mind you, that there is some brokenness in all of us. Mm-hmm. We all have some levels of pain, but we all have some levels of growth and triumph through those pains. And so while you may not need just one person to help mentor you to your optimal success, you may need 2 or 3, because those different traumas that you've experienced came from different places, from different people with different understandings. And so you may need multiple mentors to help bring you up and help heal you through your process. And every process is different.
So it's not like you struggle in every area all the time.
Right.
There might be some area where you're not struggling.
Right.
Where you're actually developing. And I was thinking about the whole fitness analogy. Mm-hmm. If you're in the gym and you are struggling under the weight,
right,
there's a difference between a good struggle and a bad struggle, right? There's a struggle that leads to development, and then there's the struggle that leads to injury.
Sure.
Right. And so I think about, you should be able to do a certain amount of repetitions at a certain weight and no more than that. And that would be a good struggle, because it's hard to get to where you were. And the next week or 2 weeks later, you should be developing and increasing that weight so that you're doing more weight and the same number of repetitions, and you're not able to do more than that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That would signify development.
Right.
As opposed to someone who is sitting up under the same weight for 5 or 10 years, and that relationship's not changing. That relationship's not any stronger. That relationship's not any better. The people you're hanging out with aren't any better.
Right.
They're the same. They're in the same place. We're making the same amount of money. We're still sad. We're complaining about the same issues. We're hanging on the same corner, doing the same things. It's about development, in all areas. Like you were saying, balance.
Right. And in addition to in addition to balance, what you've really described is a platinum shift. Because what's required is a new mindset in terms of how we see our circumstances, how we interact with those who are around us, how we have grown beyond those around us, because it takes courage to move beyond what you're comfortable with. And that's with relationships, that's with friendships, that's with everything in our lives. And so sometimes if we want something different, we have to go outside of our comfort zone. And so that's a platinum shift. To really have the courage to step beyond what you're familiar with, to try something new, to experience something new, to expose yourself to some new opportunities. And as those things begin to develop, and as they begin to make sense to you, you'll begin to practice platinum behaviors.
So, struggle, not necessarily bad.
Exactly. It really isn't.
It could be a sign of growth.
Right. And it is. And growth, it's kind of, to use the analogy that you were using earlier in terms of exercising and being in the gym. If you exercise that thing, it becomes stronger. And so if you exercise platinum thinking, you will become stronger in your thinking. If you exercise platinum shifting, you won't become jaded and stuck in one place. You'll always have the capacity to shift into a different gear and get out of the rut that you're in. And so what we find is that platinum shift can be applied to different things in your life that give you the ability to gain traction and move forward.
Yeah. Shifting.
Yeah.
Because I remember learning to drive a stick. And it's like, man, when you first trying to shift, that's usually where you'll mess up. You're trying to shift from first to second, or you're trying to get out of just sitting in neutral to going into first, to getting the ball rolling, just getting moving. And a lot of times it'll stall out, back and forth, mess your neck up.
Yeah.
And it's like, man, you're trying to learn. And that kind of a struggle, that kind of, the pain that comes from that kind of a struggle is different than the pain that comes from just quitting altogether, or just like, I'm going to drive automatic. I'm not going to work on this stick shift. But now I drive a stick shift, and it's been like 15 years, and I could be on a hill. I could be, on a steep hill in San Francisco. Don't matter. I'm not going to roll back that much, because I have experience now shifting. I know what it's like to go from first to second. I know exactly how the car feels. I know how many RPMs I should be at. I know what it should sound like. You know, I know exactly how far the car is behind me because I'm used to looking in the rear view, you know, and I can do it with my eyes closed. I can do it with the music all the way up. It don't matter. I don't need to hear it. I can feel it now.
Sure.
And the shifting becomes more natural the more that you do it and the more that you have experience with it.
Exactly. Yeah. And what you've really described there is, you know, you describe platinum tasking because platinum tasking is more than multitasking. It is a type of multitasking, but you're doing all of these things simultaneously to get to that level of perfection that you want. The thing that sometimes slows us in our growth is that we're focusing on mastering one thing at a time. But to use your analogy of driving a stick shift, you have to use your hands, your feet, your ears, and your eyes at the same time in order to master that thing. That's platinum tasking, to be able to do multiple things to accomplish to accomplish a single task, because you're seeking to to perfect your driving operating this particular motor vehicle or this piece of machinery or getting to know this thing. And so you have to learn different things at the same time. And so even when you have platinum education and platinum learning, then you're learning different things at the same time that's pushing you towards that goal of attainment.
Check this out, Rob. When you drive a stick, you can accelerate faster.
Yes.
You really can. And you can rev the engine.
Yes.
You can hold out until it's red line, you know, to get off the blocks faster.
Right.
You know, but when you drive an automatic, you don't necessarily have that option.
That's right.
You have to you're subject to the limitations of the car and whatever's built into the car.
Right.
That's kind of what you have to stick to. Ain't nobody out there drag racing in an automatic.
Right.
Ain't nobody.
That's true.
You know, everybody on the NASCAR got a stick. You got to be able to shift if you're going to be competitive in the race. And like you were saying, we have to be twice as competitive.
Exactly.
Look at the struggles that we have, the obstacles we have to overcome, all these different challenges that other people, you know, and not to just blame society like that, but it is the way it is.
Right.
You know, that other people don't necessarily have to deal with. If I was different, maybe being an automatic would be fine. If I was built like a Lexus 430 2018 with 8 speeds, maybe automatic will be fine. But I ain't built like that. You know what I mean? I'm coming back from 88. Okay. I'm an 88 stick. All right. So I got to drive a little bit different, and I need to be able to shift if I'm going to compete with these people that come from money. They're driving Lexuses, Mercedes. They got 8 speeds, 10 speeds, all kinds of power shift-tronic technique, you know, all the bells and whistles. And I'm over here, I ain't got no bells and whistles. I got this platinum mindset though, and I can shift this bad boy. I know how to work it, and that makes me more competitive, even though I don't have all the resources necessarily that everybody else has.
Exactly. And again, you know, you keep bringing up all of this terminology. Now we got platinum certification because not everyone is qualified to work on every car. Just like everyone is not qualified to mentor in every situation. And so when we have platinum certification, now you're qualified to work in that particular area and lend expertise that will solve a problem. And so what I look at is, how do we begin to develop a platinum curriculum that's going to speak to the specific needs of certain individuals and have other people with resources that are necessary to tap right into what their issue is, and not just have them out there floundering and suffering needlessly because we put them in the wrong place, with the wrong mechanic, so to speak. So if you got a platinum certification, you are qualified to perform the work in that particular area.
When you are a specialist, you have to go to a specialist mechanic. When you have a European car, you got to go to a European mechanic. You can't just take it to a generalist.
Right.
You got to take it to one that's in your lane. And like we were talking earlier with mentoring and being mentored at the same time, it's like you learn when you teach.
Yes.
You learn more when you teach. You learn more from hearing yourself talk about the things that you've taken in and now it's coming out of you. You have to understand it on a different level to be able to give it to somebody else.
Yes.
You have to have already digested that information to be able to give it to somebody else. Otherwise, you're learning, at the same speed they're learning. And can the blind lead the blind?
Huh.
Yeah, right off a cliff.
Right. Yes, no doubt. And so what I'm looking at in terms of where we've been and where we're going, I'm always looking. If I look back, it is not for the purpose of lamenting about what's left behind. It's about who do I need to go back and get to bring them forward. And so that whole idea of my platinum mindset is that I recognize that my journey is bigger than me. My journey does not encompass only what I want. It encompasses the joys and the fears and the pains of other people as well. And so sometimes I have to go ahead without them in order to get to the point where I need to be so that I can have the capacity to go back and get them and bring them along at the pace that they need to come. Because not everyone that you love is at your pace. They're going to come at your pace. They're even going to believe in what you believe in. But until they see the platinum results that you're getting, you have to first be that example of what the possibilities are. And we encourage every platinum hitter to be the example to those around them.
You might be the first. You will not be the last.
Exactly.
You might be the first.
Yes.
And that's a position of honor and privilege to be the first of your friends and family, your cohort, to be the platinum hitter.
Yes, no doubt. And that also puts us in a mindset, a framework for when we develop and frame out the platinum seminars and the platinum workshops and what they can do for people in transforming their lives and their thinking in terms of their goals and their aspirations and giving them the resources that are necessary to reach that brass ring. And once you hold it, it gets a hold of you. It's not a one-way reciprocation or what have you. It's a two-way reciprocation. Whatever I give out, I'm getting back. And so there's a return on your investment. There's an ROI being a platinum hitter, because it's not just about pouring out. It's about being poured into. And every platinum hitter is a vessel that pours out and is poured into.
With channels.
Yes.
With channels. It comes through you. Everything that comes to you, it ain't for you to keep. Exactly. A lot of times you pass it right along. And that's what keeps it flowing. That's what they say. Like, if the blood stops circulating in your veins, you pass away.
Right. Yes. Yes, indeed. I was at a seminar with, at least a workshop with Brother Rashad Norris. This brother has a company called Relevant Engagement. And part of his...
Shout out to Brother Rashad.
Shout out to Brother Rashad. Yes. That cat said this, and it's always stuck with me. And it's one of the ground rules for the workshops that he does. And it states, what is said here stays here. What is learned here leaves here. That's always resonated with me. What is said here stays here, because sometimes people expose their vulnerability in small spaces. So what is said here stays here. But what is learned here in terms of how we grow leaves here, because someone else can benefit from it. And so that brother was on point with that.
Oh, absolutely.
And I received it.
Absolutely. All right, man. Well, we could wrap it up right there.
Let's wrap it.
That sounds like another platinum episode. Until next time, we'll see you guys when we see you guys.
Keep it platinum.
Keep it platinum.